Welcome to your culmination of your wonderful week of Combat Paper Warrior Writers. I'm sure you guys had a pretty awesome week. So I've been a Warrior Writers Combat Paper participant now multiple times, so I know that it's a pretty awesome experience. So I'm going to turn it over to Eli, who is your team facilitator for this week, and let him kind of run you through the show. So Eli.
Thank you all for coming tonight. It's a nice little intimate crowd we have here. So, who are we? Combat Paper Project and the Warrior Writers Project we're a community of veterans that is focused on communicating the military experience through art. And we do that through the ancient craft of handmade paper making, modern techniques of printmaking, and the act of creative writing. Combining all of those three things together, we have developed a workshop setting where veterans can come together, communicate about their military experiences with each other, and through the collaborative process of the art making that takes place during the week, we're able to produce the work that you see here in front of me today. So we've been around since 2007, and our specific little piece of the pie, Combat Paper New Jersey, has been around for the past going on 2.5 years now. And so this is actually our first workshop of 2014 here in the DC area that is partially funded now by the Wounded Warrior Project, as well as partnership with International Spirit of Healing. So as we've been kind of exploring new territory and growing with this, we've been building this collaboration and engaging more in the process of bringing soldiers and civilians together to bridge the gap. So that's really what we're all about. And so the process by which we do that is a pretty simple process where we begin the week by getting to know each other a little bit, doing some of Seema's little crazy icebreakers like that, some writing prompts, and then we engage in the first step of the process, which is deconstruction. So by utilizing our actual military uniforms worn in service, we cut the uniforms down into little tiny pieces, and through that process, stories start to unfold. And veterans get to know each other. We start to figure out, we're all complete strangers usually at the beginning of the week, and then as it goes along, we find out somebody's sort of in the same place that we did at a different time, or all of these things. We start to understand how much we all have in common, even though we don't really know each other. And so the stories start to come out as we take apart those uniforms and start to deconstruct those experiences down and open up about a lot of things that often have never been talked about before. And so then we take the uniform and we pulp it in a machine, and it turns it into a pulp slurry. From that, the transformation process really begins, where we then take the pulp, we reclaim it back into sheets of handmade paper, and from there, you can start fresh. A sheet of paper can become just about anything. So it's a very approachable, very easy thing for veterans to get into and find an interest in, because paper is something that it's central to our lives in so many ways, and you really start to realize how important it is once we actually start making it. So then the paper becomes a fresh platform that can become anything. And so there, it allows us to open up and start to print our images of our experiences, put our creative writing onto the paper, combinations of both. Sometimes the paper is bound into handmade books. Sometimes it can be sculpted. I mean, paper can become so many things, and so it's very effective at this. It's a very effective tool for what we've begun to use it for. So then through that communication process of putting those stories out there, we bring soldiers and civilians back together again in this kind of environment where it gives veterans and service members the empowering experience of really starting to put their stories out into the world. They can share things with their families, they can share things with their communities. And so then it starts to break some of the isolation that a lot of service members deal with. And so, and in that way, it's also very empowering, because we're able to provide a step out back into the world sometimes after the difficulties of transitioning out of the military and learning how to move on with life after the military and war experience. And so it's really, it's quite an honor to be able to do this. I've been a workshop facilitator, excuse me, for a few years now. I started this process back in 2007 when I was still in the Army. I served from 2002 to 2008, and I found this process at one of my most difficult periods of my life. And I often credit the creative writing process and art making process that we do with it very much saved my life at that time when I really needed it. And so it's the biggest privilege and honor that I can imagine to be able to continue this process, now teaching it to others and sharing the work that we do with the world. So above all, I want to thank all of the men and women who took part in the workshop this week for coming together and telling us a little bit about yourselves, about what you've been through, about your history in the military, allowing us to share the same about us, and continue building that creative community amongst veterans. So we brought most of our participants for the week together tonight, and we're going to share some of the stories that we had. We encourage you all to hang around afterwards, look at the art, ask us questions. You know, that's what we're here to do. We want to share what this work is about. So thank you all for coming and being a part of it. And I'm going to turn it over to Simon, I think, Kevin, to introduce our readers for the night. So Kevin Basil.
My name is Kevin Basil. I served in the Army for 5 years and deployed twice to Iraq. And whenever I got out of the Army, I didn't talk about my experience in the military for a few years after. That's until I found Warrior Writers. Warrior Writers, as Eli mentioned, is a creative writing workshop for veterans with a twofold mission of helping veterans and service members reclaim their identity, both while in service and following service, and also helping veterans bridge the gap between the military community and the greater community at large. And that's what we're doing right now tonight. So we have some creative writing to share with you. Some that was produced this week in workshops, and some that comes from the greater community at large. So with that said, we'll just go right into it. So first up, we have Tony Timbers. And if each participant can maybe say a little bit about yourself, you know, to start the vibe, that'd be great. So, Tony Timbers.
How you doing, everyone? Tony Timbers, and first I wanted to say thanks to all the facilitators this week. I started to learn about combat paper around a little over a year ago when I went into a drug rehab facility at Fort Belvoir when I realized my life had become unmanageable, and long story short, when it came to that, was that I was injured in the war, and as what's happening a lot in the war is that when soldiers are getting injured, they're being overprescribed narcotic pain medication, and I was one of those, and I became an addict, and that's what my I'm standing in front of my it didn't do well. That's what all of my art today is about. But over the last year, combat paper has been combat paper, and those people those guys and gals that run it have been kind of superheroes to me. I've really looked up to them, and I actually, because of them, started my own company. I looked up to them, I read about them, and it wasn't until now that I actually got to participate. And this last week has been the first week in so long that I could actually breathe. Yes, I've been clean and sober for over a year, but it wasn't until recently when I actually started to take care of myself and start reaching out for help and doing things like this to get better. But so with without further ado, this is my poem, and my poem goes along with my screen print on the combat paper. This is called My Reflection. Cynical silhouettes tap dance it out on porcelain powdered strings. White powder pills penetrate thoughtless minds and dream. Motionless mirrors reflect past milestones almost forgotten. New successes subside to an overwhelming feeling of defeat. Anthony James Timbers at 351 days clean and sober.
Okay, next up we have Rita Shaw.
Woo, woo, woo! For those of you who don't know me, I am a retired Army captain. Was medically retired a little over 2 years ago. I met Seema on my way out of the inpatient facility at Walter Reed. She was kind of my saving grace, and so was the arts. And so after leaving the Army, starting a nonprofit and running a nonprofit has been kind of what I do. So the healing arts, legal advice, and transitional guidance is kind of the mission of International Spirit Healing. So it's kind of where I put my efforts. So writing and creating things is kind of what has kind of saved my life. After I got home, it's kind of what allowed me the space to deal with kind of everything that I've been through. And I'm sure most of you guys kind of figured that out this week, that it's a really great way of kind of figuring a way to kind of really come home once you've kind of been over there. So I guess my piece of art this week, there's two of them. One is that tiger over there. It's just kind of a flying tiger. So it's kind of a replica of the Flying Tiger Squadron from World War II. That I just kind of thought was a cool idea. And the other one is this piece that has a lot of writing on it, but it's actually a photograph that I took out of a Black Hawk. I can't, maybe you can recognize it, but you can see the Black Hawk in front of us. And you can see the gun out of a Black Hawk. And then there's a poem that's written on it, so I'm just going to read that. So, it says, "They failed so miserably they will never know. They tried to suck every drop of happiness, joy, and wonder from my existence. They made me pray every night I would not wake the next sunrise. Or better yet, I would just disintegrate to my mattress I lay on. They made the satisfaction of amusement and amusement for living disappear into air, like it was only the memory to mourn for. Little did they know the spirit inside me would try to kill. They tried to kill was not dead, just buried deep inside, covered in the depths of depression, melancholy, and sorrow. Longing for a life it could no longer have, not knowing the possibilities that may lie ahead. Little did they know I would fight to find contentment in my life again. Maybe not the same, but I discovered laughter and bliss once again. Purpose and meaning in my life, a reason to smile and pass by a mirror. And the answer now, if someone asks me where I see my life in 5 years. Maybe even something greater this time that I had given up. Not that it has given up trying to kill me, that I still feel them rounding around me some days, especially when I'm weary. Trying to kill my spirit, if only I will let them back in."
Okay, next up we have David Rodriguez.
Good evening, everyone. David Rodriguez from Brooklyn, New York, active duty Navy. I never heard about this program. I'm happy that I was introduced to it. I see no actually come out today. I met her in the IOP program in Walter Reed. And yeah, just happy to be here. Hold me, caress my body. Use me until I am no more. Just please don't pass me around like I am some whore. I will work for you until my death. I am yours, mightier than a sword, yet fragile and delicate like a flower. So use me with care. You and I together, we have power. Alone I am bare. I am meant to die. Hopefully it will be a meaningful death, a beautiful death. But I will return, not to you, but to someone else, and they will touch me. My body will belong to them, and I will do whatever they make me. But for now, I am yours. So grab me and hold me tight. The tip sharp like a knife cutting through the flesh. The sheets soak up the dark, thick fluid that runs from my veins. Allow me to make your beautiful thoughts and pain come to life as I die slow. The thick fluid within comes out and dries slow. As I flow, let your mind go. Share with me your deepest fears, and I will stay close to you, avoiding your tears that drop onto the sheets. Sometimes you get mad at me, and I am not perfect, and you know this. Yet you grab me by the neck, and you shake me rigorously. You beat my body continuously until I bleed again. My life is coming to an end. Beat me no more. I want to make love on these blood-stained sheets. Please hold my body and create love with me. These may be my last words. I am bleeding out. So stroke slow and elegant as if you were writing in cursive. I am dying, but it's beautiful, all because you made my life worth it. Love what we created together. Although I'm gone, within those beautifully stained sheets, I will live forever. I wrote this, and when I read it to a couple people, they thought it was about a woman being taken advantage of, but it's not. It's about a pen, and I just wanted you guys to know that it's about a pen, and if a pen had feelings, how it would feel. So.
Thank you. Really?
Thanks, Dave. Okay, Eric James.
So this is my second time coming to one of these little things, thanks to SEMA. I'm going to do 2 works tonight. I'm going to do the reaping again for everybody who hasn't heard it. And then I have a new work that even SEMA hasn't heard. So she has no clue what's coming up. That's why I like keeping SEMA. For everybody who doesn't know, I'm active duty, Marine Corps, serving the med board, and I'm finding that the same thing a lot of people said, the creative arts are saving my life in more ways than one. So I will be attending the next combat paper, and so without further ado, reading. Your hands are cold with thinning bones, plunging, piercing, grinding flesh. The heart is racing, feet are flying. Those oily hands infect the chest. Sickly green, the body rotting, dying, dead, falling off. Icy fingers tickle heartstrings of my soul. Pluck at thread, watch me jerk. Play a higher note, then I shudder. Doubled over, virgin husk. That was about fear. I've been afraid a lot lately, and I felt fear, in combat. There's a difference. I was able to handle one. I wasn't able to handle the other. Without further ado, purple people. Those purple people, the purple people with those purple problems, please stop the piercing purple people with plump, pushing faces. They walk like us and they talk like us, but they, the purple people, are different. Let's box in the purple people and prevent that prickly odor. just look at those purple faces and those pink pus pimples. I want to pop those purple faces frowning down on me. My porcupine hair pops up and those purple people all around. The purple people are like the pox, deadly when contracted. Don't let the purple people touch you unless you want to turn into a purple person. The purple people are not people.
Thanks, sir. Easy, no, no.
So I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I heard there was another Kentuckian earlier. Okay. So I'm the only one here. I found about this, they came to our VA one time and I was unable to participate in the workshop. And I've been a social justice advocate since I've been out of the military. I've done every issue but veterans' rights. That's the one that I was scared the most of, because I knew I would have to deal with my own experiences. So I came this week and it has been very empowering to actually talk about my experiences. Honestly, I've never done this before. And I do a lot of public speaking. So that's saying, and I don't hold much back, so that's saying something that I don't talk about it. So anyway, this week I was able to really get to know everybody, and thank you all very much for everything I've learned from everybody here and just the new relationships. Because I think a lot of times, especially as creative people, activists, veterans, it's a small community and it's hard to get into. So this is my first time ever sharing my personal writing outside of the workshops that we did dealing with veteran experiences. I was in the Air Force for 4 years. I went in 2004. It wasn't very exciting. I mean, it was just fun. So the first one I did was I wrote a poem, and one of the pieces of paper that we made, we got to put an image on it, and then from there, it just kind of became what it became. It's not very long. Inside a glass, I could touch the wind that rippled the edges of the earth, that soared my thinned hands. Before I spoke to my brothers, like looking into glass, on those shallow plains and in those tired bushes, they melted the glass into my nightmares. And this will explain, I'm starting my own organization in Louisville, Kentucky, called Athena Sisters, and we made my logo this week, so that was super exciting. So anyway, I was raped by 3 active duty members when I was coming out of the chow hall one night after dinner. So it was, and I've learned as a woman veteran, there's just not services. And VA does offer things, but they're hard to get into, and most of them don't really reflect women's needs. So what I hope to do is offer veteran women ways to deal with their experiences using arts, whether it's creative writing, hopefully paper making. When I called him, I was like, I want to bring this to Kentucky, and he was like, oh, these are expensive. No, I get it. I was like, I could just set up shop, So hopefully we'll bring in the warrior writers and everything else too on a more grassroots level. So the second one I wrote, which is weird because I didn't super proofread this, so forgive me if there's mistakes. But Kevin and I were talking, and this was an experience that happened that made me realize this week too, even more, why I've been silent about my experiences, especially doing social justice work. Because if I'm advocating for peace, it doesn't really make sense that I was at war. So there's a lot of conflict that goes on with this part of my identity. You asked me, was it worth it? You didn't know me. We were at a peace rally. You scared me with your question. The military was something I did, not who I am. I was too ignorant to understand justice before I went in. I was only smart in survival, day to day, mouth to mouth. Did you know that about me? How to live like that? it's not living because I did not have a choice in how I lived. I did not have time for critical thinking or things like reflection and self-care or eating organic and 5 small meals a day. I learned how to live even less in the military, but when I was active duty, the people, like you, were sympathetic and smiled. Now you think your harsh judgments are what I deserve to hear. My disabilities come from the decision I made that defied your idea of living. But see how quickly we became different, you and I? Don't you believe I know violence doesn't bring peace just as much as you do, if not more? And now, to feel the shame from you, my sister on the outside, as I was shamed by my brothers on the inside, and the women on the inside, my sisters, who are misled but mighty. It's taken 3 years to write this, and only because it was inspired by another veteran writer about my identity as an activist and a veteran. My best friend and one of my mentors says, if you have shit or more shit to choose from, which one do you choose? She always says this, doesn't know. So which one do you pick? Most humans will always pick survival. It is that simple. If they do not pick survival, it's because they believe that their sacrifice matters, and it always does. I believe in being an American. We cannot change the genocide fused in with our history, but we can move towards healing if we truly practice freedom, liberty, and dignity. And not for those who deserve, because there is nothing about being an American that says we have to earn our humanity. We are born with it, but we give it away, and we don't realize it, and sometimes we don't have a choice. We make decisions we believe in, and that will continue our survival, even when they are destructive, because sometimes feeling it is unbearable. So if the choices I made have kept me alive, then it was all worth it.
Okay, next up, Willie Youngs.
Greetings. Hey, my name is Willie Young, and before I get started, I want to say thanks to everybody for being here. Some people work here, some people are like building tenants, some people are workshop participants, some people just came to see, but I want y'all to know this stuff is important to me, and it means something for everybody who came out just to see that you all are here. I went to public school, so all my stuff rhymes. So my poetry, it's not that deep, yeah, it's not, there's no hidden meanings in it, yeah. It's really not that deep, but I am a 19-year active duty Army guy. Been in for a long time, seen a lot of things, been in some wars, been in some peacekeeping missions, and I had a lot of trouble sleeping at night. I've been in the hospital a lot over the last year, and this serious insomnia, PTSD type thing. So a lot of stuff that I write about and a lot of stuff that I do art about is about the fact that, you know, that if I don't take a whole lot of medication, that I can't lay down. This first one I'm gonna read is called 1/3. If I lay down at 10 and get up at 6, that's 8 hours to rest. That sounds pretty legit. I don't sleep anymore, I just take pills to forget. 8 hours of time out of just 24, I spend mine with my horrors curled up on the floor. You might just hit snooze and try to squeeze in some more. 1/3 of my day equals all of your night. 1/3 terror, 1/3 crazy, 33% fright. I'm just waiting for the darkness to yield to the light. I've been in uniform longer than 1/3 of my life. Longer than school, longer than kids, longer than I've had a wife. And what I've learned is that in camouflage, you can hide in plain sight. My father is Willie Young Sr. I'm Willie Young Jr., you see. And my son, of course, he's Willie Young number 3. He says he wants to grow up to be exactly like me. Do not spend your life fighting battles with no reasons or rhyme. Learn to trade, cure cancer, or try fighting some crime. And be sure to lay down at least 1/3 of the time. This last one is called What Was It Like? So my son asked me the question, Dad, what was it like? I said, son, if you've done it once, it's just like falling off a bike. I said, no, that's a bad example. It's like getting killed by a kite. So you know what? Just go get in bed. That's enough for tonight. Now don't you dare judge me. Just what would you have done? Told him how you killed a teenager that didn't even have a gun? Would you tell him about all the battles lost that he thinks you really won? I can't keep acting like I'm having fun because my memory's weigh a ton. The next day, all my brand new soldiers started to make a fuss. They asked me, Sarge, what was it like when your boots were in the dust? I said, while they were yelling Allah, we yelled back, in God we trust. When we shot those motherfuckers, they bled just like us.
Thanks, Willie. I should have added that Willie and the last two readers are all members of the Combat Paper Warrior Writer staff, so it's great to be working with them now. Okay, next up, Joe Merritt.
Everybody doing? I don't always throw most of the people in the mics. A year ago today is actually a pretty big day for me. I didn't really talk about it that much today, but today is one of my alive days. A year ago, probably in like about 20 minutes, I was sitting in a room by myself and thinking about if January was an assassin that was trying to bludgeon me to death with tombstones, all the people that I had lost, and put a gun in my mouth and I didn't pull the trigger. I'm here today. A month later, I found Warrior Writers and Combat Paper, and it's really, like everybody else has said, it really has changed me in a lot of ways. Now I have the privilege of being able to give that back and being one of the facilitators. So I wrote this piece. It was actually in a different workshop called Music to Words. Some of you might have heard it before. Bear with me. Like I said, I'm kind of was practicing this tonight and kind of worked up and just thinking a lot about today. So try to get through this. When your Egyptian cotton sheets hold the comfort of rusted metal teeth, you find yourself contorting to sleep, squeezing your bones into the irony of the empty love seat. Those bunk beds are the smashed clock of where you imagine your 20s. Their springs and gears lay across these cluttered floors. These childhood toys are no longer memories. They're the priorities that led to that sink full of dishes, your mind's full of trains, a bedside coffee pot so you can enjoy 5 more minutes before you wake them up. The bird settles, kicking up a storm of sand, sand that is cheesecloth thin. It settles in the deepest part of you, leaving an uneven deckled edge in your mind. Nothing will ever fit with it again. Watch them. Watch them load them on that bird. Again, and again, and again, and again. Watch them. Your mind's reloading these images like your gas-operated, belt-fed, cruiser, fully automatic weapon system. Then you wake up from it. Your skin is like a wet bar of soap. You roll over and you realize the only person that's there is staring at you through a dirty vanity mirror. The cupboard that held the linen is empty. Lay in the metal teeth and pray to the God of warrior fathers. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, last up tonight, first person you heard from, Eli Wright.
Tonight, I want to run through the streets with firecrackers and spray paint so that one day I can look back and remember that I was here. Because I'm a long way from home. So I want to stand on the rooftop and shout at the stars and ask them why I can't find my way back there anymore. Because yesterday, I got back from a war. Today, I'm trying to remember what happened. And tomorrow, I'll be wishing I could forget. Because last year, I was just a boy. This year, I'm trying to become a man. And next year, I'll be wishing I was young again because life happens so fast. And we always wind up wondering how it all slipped away from us in the end. But right now, I feel like jumping from the bridge so that tomorrow I might not have to wake up and do it all over again. Because sometimes a day can feel like a week, and weeks bleed into months, and sometimes I feel so weak because I lose track of how many years have passed between lying down and falling asleep. And when restless nights become firefights between me and my dreams, I want to go back in time to the moment before the first shots were fired and scream, "Stop." Some days, I just want to stare into the sun, so that I might go blind and stop seeing those things I saw yesterday. And today, I want to stomp my feet upon the earth, hoping I can pack it all back down tight enough that the dead will stop coming back to visit. But I still have a few things left to learn from them. So tonight, I want to write about everything, and then some, but my hands have been broken from beating down the walls I've been building all around me, so maybe tomorrow I'll break out the bandages, then pick up a hammer to start building bridges, because if we knew back then what we know now, maybe we wouldn't have been so quick to pull those triggers. Maybe we wouldn't have had to walk through hell to get where we were trying to go. And I forgot where I was trying to go. And I can't go back. So maybe it's time to start drawing maps. Because somehow I got lost between western mountains and Middle Eastern deserts. And there's still a lot of land to navigate in between. So if you happen to have a compass, I could use a little help. Thank you very much.
Everybody for coming out tonight. Let's keep this conversation going. The readers will be mingling here. Afterwards, we have food on the table. We have an information table that's in the hallway outside. We have t-shirts for sale. We have books for sale. The facilitators will be here to answer any questions you have. And thanks again for coming.